What happens when an empath meets an avoidant? Let's talk about that. Now, if you're new here, there's four main attachment styles. There's only one secure attachment style, and that's the secure attachment style. This person is pretty secure and confident within themselves and in their relationships. They usually have healthy relationships. The anxious preoccupied, this person is preoccupied with a relationship or the idea of a relationship. They struggle with independence, and they are often too vulnerable. And I mean vulnerable to a fault. Vulnerability can be a good thing, but the anxious preoccupied is too vulnerable without boundaries. The dismissive avoidant is opposite. So they are hyper independent. They don't like getting close to people, and they are terrified of vulnerability. So they have a hard time opening up to people. And the fearful avoidant is a mix of both anxious and dismissive. They swing between the two. That's why this is also known as the disorganized attachment style. Now, an empath, of course, has an attachment style, right? So, which attachment style does the empath have? Because today we're talking about what happens when an empath meets a dismissive avoidant. So, what's the empath's attachment style? Well, an empath, someone with high empathy, they can have any of these attachment styles. But most empaths lean towards the anxious, preoccupied attachment style. Not always, not always, but here's often why that happens. Empaths are hyper attuned to other people's emotions. Okay, that ability was developed in childhood, especially if their emotional environment was chaotic or unpredictable. Okay, they learned to feel everything, to feel and sense what other people are feeling, hoping that if they could sense somebody's mood shift, if they could sense somebody's change in energy, that they could find a way to stay safe and keep the peace. And they do this by becoming givers and fixers and pleasers, not out of weakness, but out of survival. Okay, and it's because they care so deeply. Okay, that they often seek closeness and connection very intensely. Okay, people with strong empathy, and sometimes before they know if that person is even a good fit for them. But this can overwhelm an avoidant, someone with a dismissive avoidant attachment style. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that all anxious preoccupieds are empaths. Okay. Anxious preoccupieds can also be narcissists. Okay. There are many narcissists with an anxious preoccupied attachment style. I'm just saying that many empaths lean towards the anxious preoccupied attachment style. But yeah, in this video, I want to talk about what happens when an empath, who usually has an anxious preoccupied attachment style, when an empath meets a dismissive avoidant. What happens? Now, like any relationship, okay, there's going to be a honeymoon period, and then the avoidant is going to become distant. Okay, they're going to start pulling away. They're going to become less responsive. And the empath is going to pick up on this. Okay, they are very attuned to other people's emotions, and they're going to be attuned to that shift in the avoidance emotions. Okay, they're going to feel that mood shift. And again, empaths, whom of which many have an anxious attachment style, will see this shift in energy, this shift in avoidance emotions. They'll see this shift as something that needs to be fixed, as a problem that needs to be solved. The empath is going to want immediate resolution. Okay? How are they going to do that? Well, they're going to start giving. They're going to start over giving. They're going to start over expressing, over caring. Okay? Because, again, the empath just cares. Okay? They're such caring people. But if they're not grounded in security and healthy boundaries, then they can become caring to a fault. Okay, their caring can become overwhelming, and this can push an avoidant away. Okay, look, showing care, showing affection, these are positive things. Okay, but this is so important. Okay, remember this. Too much of a positive thing can be overwhelming for someone, especially for a dismissive avoidant. So this is important for empaths to learn, because if they don't learn healthy boundaries, well, now they're going to fall into codependency. They're going to fall into anxious attachment, and these things are not healthy, okay? So that's what's going to happen when an empath meets an avoidant, okay? When the empath has an anxious attachment style, many of them do. They will feel the avoidance shift in energy. They're going to try to fix it because they see it as something to fix. And they're going to do this by over-giving, by over-caring, by over-expressing. And then the avoidant is going to become overwhelmed. And you know, I feel for both. I really do. I feel for the empath. I feel for the dismissive avoidant, okay? The empath cares deeply. Okay, they really just care that deeply. They feel emotions so intensely, and they just crave connection. They really do care. The avoidant, it can be too much for them. They don't know how to hold that care, right? They don't have the capacity to reciprocate that care. It's overwhelming for them. That's why they pull away. So how can an empath fix this? Well, they should keep their empathy. Okay, empathy, it's a good thing from what I can see on social media. Empathy is lacking. We need more of it. But also empaths need boundaries for themselves. Okay, they need to be aware that sometimes giving too much, expressing too much, it's not always the answer. Okay, sometimes there's nothing to fix. Sometimes there's no people to please. Okay, and they just need to stay grounded because being attuned to others' emotions, it's a good thing to have. It's a unique ability, but it can sometimes make you lose track of your own emotions. Okay, and we all need to keep track of our own emotions. Okay, that is my final take for this video for an empath. Okay, yes, it's good to be attuned to other people's emotions, but do not lose track of your own emotions in the process. So I hope I brought some good into your life today. If so, please like and subscribe, and please share your thoughts and your stories in the comments. Let's get the discussion going. Have you ever been in a situation like this, or a relationship like this? Are you the empath? Are you the avoidant? And if you think this video might help somebody, please share it with them. And until next time, you take care, and I'll see you in the next video.